Education Department.
Presente.
RE Portfolio.
In Assessment Learning 2.
We are excited
to share our learnings and progress in this subject.
Assessment and education is at the heart of every student's success story. Anak na!
This is our e-portfolio 3E Values Education major. Portfolio Assessment in Learning 2, Prof.Ed8, presented at Baao Community College, San Juan, Baao, Camarines Sur, presented by 3E Values Education, presented to Marilu T. Blancada, College Instructor. The Introduction.
Hi, my name is Maria Herminia P. Arroyo, 21 years of age, residing at Lanip-Gabula, Camarines Sur, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My father's name is Felipe B. Arroyo Jr. and my mother's name is LVP Arroyo. We are 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I am the 5th among my 6 siblings.
Hi everyone, I am Mary Grace B. Baita, 22 years old, residing at San Jose, Baao, Camarines Sur. I am taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My father's name is Aldrin S. Baita and my mother's name is Emelda B. Baita. We are 8 siblings. I have 3 brothers and 5 sisters.
Hello everyone, I am Joanne A. Bonaria, 22 years old, residing at San Juan, Baao, Camarines Sur, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My father's name is Joel B. Bonaria. My mother's name is Michelle A. Bonaria. I have the first daughter and I have 2 brothers.
Hi everyone, my name is June Lomer D. Casano, 23 years old, residing at Zone 2 Santa Justina West, Buhi, Camarines Sur, Philippines. My father's name is Felix Elmer A. Casano. My mother's name is Loretta de Lima Camila. I have elder sister and I am the youngest. I am your future educator.
Hello everyone, my name is Shana Donna Garchitorena. I am 22 years old from San Ramon, Baao, Camarines Sur, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Ed. My mother's name is Nora Garchitorena and my father's name is Mariano Paz Jr. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Everyone, my name is Crystal P. Guadalupe, 21 years old, residing at San Isidro, Iriga City, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My parents' name is Mr. and Mrs. Crescente M. Guadalupe and Mrs. Mary Flor P. Guadalupe. We are 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I am the second among the 4 siblings.
Hola, buenos días, hermanos y hermanas. My name is Andre G.Q. Laborte from Santa Clara, Buhi, Camarines Sur, 25 years old. My father's name is Vicente E. Laborte and my mother's name was Rosario Y. Laborte. And I have an older brother, Marvin Q. Laborte, and call center agent. Thank you.
Diana Manalo, 34 of age, currently living in San Andres, Iriga City, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. Hilario S. Manalo. I'm the fourth daughter from the siblings.
I, Ray Peñalosa, residing at San Nicolas, Baao, Camarines Sur. I am 26 years old, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. My mother's name is Charlita Peñalosa. My father's name is Reneo Peñalosa. We are only 5 siblings and I am the 4th to the 5th siblings, 1 sisters and 4 brothers.
Hello everyone, I'm Dominic Rodriguez Robosa from Santa Cruz, Bao, Camarines Sur, 22 years old, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Values Education. And my parent name is Domingo Bulo Robosa and my mother's name is Bernadette Daet Rodriguez.
This is the table of content of our e-portfolio from the title page up to the group portfolio assessment, which indicated the pages of every correspondent content in this portfolio. Our individual goal setting.
Studying this course means acquiring knowledge and teaching techniques to improve performance and make social contribution.
As a pre-service teacher, I should achieve excellence through spend time in practicing and developing new skills.
As a future teacher, I want to inspire and motivate my students of being involved, especially in this activity.
As a pre-service teacher, learner's assessment is useful aspect during the learning process by enabling them to reflect on their challenges and growth so they may improve.
This journey has helped me a lot to better understand myself and build my confidence and become more effective teacher because of the learning and growth we have experienced.
Studying this course is to acquire the knowledge, aptitude, and confidence necessary to assume positions of leadership in society.
To have a meaningful assessment for the learners.
Success is not just about achieving your goals. It's about the person you become in the process. Keep growing, learning, and evolving. For me, as a student and a future educator, the true reward of reaching the goals is the experience I get from taking the journey. The goals I have achieved are merely indicators of how far I've come. The important thing that I have learned is that I keep on growing for the better and learning to evolve my knowledge.
This Prof.Ed8 is give me understand what is the best or deep meaning to become a good teacher.
Assessment learning to give me a lot of knowledge and also help me to contribute how to teach, achieve the goal performance, standard and outcome, and improve the student behavior someday.
Purpose of a portfolio assessment. 1. To document students' learning on specific course learning outcomes. 2. To show students' growth on every learning areas. And 3. To evaluate the students' learning within a specific time.
Chapter 1: Assessment as an integral part of teaching. Assessment plays an important role in the process of learning and motivation. Assessment is an integral part of teaching learning process because assessment makes reliable decisions about educational planning, helps the teacher do understand children's learning, serve as a feedback for students as well as the teachers, determine the effectiveness of the learning process or program. Hence, it could be concluded that assessment is an integral part of teaching learning process because assessment helps the teacher to understand children's learning and serve as a feedback for her own teaching.
Now to chapter 2, which is outcome-based education. Outcome-based education, OBE, and outcome-based teaching learning, OBTLs, BTL, or education or teaching learning based on outcome, not on content. Outcomes in different levels base broad institutional outcomes to program outcomes to course outcomes and specific learning or instructional outcomes. This specific learning on instructional outcomes are most specific and are also referred as intended learning outcomes or student learning outcomes. Study's objective is concerned with exit broad outcomes, which is demonstrate the place of work, while BIG's OBTL is directed to more specific learning instructional outcomes. In OBE and OBTL, The process of instruction begins with the clarification and learning outcomes. The content of the method of instruction, the teaching learning activities, and the assessment tasks are all based on the outcome. This is constructive alignment.
Chapter 3 focused on learning outcomes, sources, and characteristics. In OBE, the focus is on learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are naturally associated with learners, thus the phase students' learning outcomes. Students who are well informed about what behaviors are expected of them in the course or subject or learning activity have a definite guide during the learning activity and are therefore perceived to attain success. Learning outcomes are the knowledge, skills, and values that students are expected to demonstrate at the end of the lesson. Teaching objectives are not synonymous to learning outcomes. Teaching objectives are the teacher-centered while learning outcomes are learner-centered. Teaching objectives state what the teacher does while learning outcome state what learners are expected to do. Learning outcomes must be based on needs of industry to eliminate the gap between the academy and industry and so make teaching learning relevant to the needs of industry to prepare the graduates adequately for their future jobs.
Let's come now to the chapter 4, titled Authentic Assessment, Meaning, Methods, and Tools. Authentic assessment is the idea of using creative learning experiences to test students' skills and knowledge in a realistic situation. Authentic assessment measures students' success in a way that's relevant to the skills required of them once they finish the course or degree program. In this chapter, we'll discuss the benefits and challenges of the type of assessment and how can incorporate authentic assessment in a classroom educational setting. Authentic assessment is a form of assessment that students are asked to perform in a real-world context that engages the skills, knowledge, and performance in obtaining the corresponding competencies needed. It is also known as performance assessment. So when we say performance assessment and traditional assessment is a huge part of the application needed to develop the basic skills from the real-world situation to perform and adopt the necessary ability and get the ideas for good reflection. Traditional assessment and authentic performance assessment complement each other. Authentic assessment included in Marzano's taxonomy knowledge domain, which is assessing transversal competencies through information, knowledge of mental and physical skills. The GRASP or the GRASPS is a technique for authentic assessment specified as goal, role, audience, situation, product, standards, and criteria.
Chapter 5, the scoring rubrics. After learning that performance-based authentic assessment consists of product-based and process-based assessment, let us now learn how to score a product or produce or a process performed by the learners by means of a scoring rubrics. A scoring rubrics is a must and authentic performance-based assessment. Also, it is meant to score the quality of a process or a product. A scoring rubrics has two basic parts: the criteria and the descriptions of each level of performance. There are 4 types of scoring rubrics: the holistic and analytic, and general and the task-specific rubrics. Rubrics are important because they ensure constructive alignment of instruction, assessment with learning outcomes. Rubrics make teaching and learning more focused.
The chapter 6, the portfolio assessment. Portfolio assessment is an authentic form of assessment. A portfolio is not just a collection or compilation of a student's output in class. It is a systematic, organized, and purposeful collection of artifacts, products, production, assistation, or reproduction. There are 3 types of portfolio: assessment portfolio, development or growth portfolio, and showcase or best work or display portfolio. An assessment portfolio is intended to document what a student has learned based on intended learning outcomes. A developmental or growth portfolio consists of the student's work over an extended time framework to show students' progress in a meeting learning outcomes. It provides concrete evidence on how much a student has changed or developed over time. A best work showcase display portfolio presents that students' most outstanding work and development students' proof of the best effort with a respect to learning outcomes. A portfolio includes artifacts, production, reproduction, and attestation. Artifacts are documents or products that are produced as a result of a student's academic classroom work. Production are the documents that the student herself bears. Reproduction are the documentation of a student's work outside the classroom. Attestation are the teachers or other responsible person documentation to attest to the student's progress. The basis for the selection of what that includes in the portfolio are learning outcomes and a purpose of a portfolio.
In Chapter 7, ePortfolio as an assessment tools and as a communication medium. ePortfolio is a digital collection of course-related work and other aspects of a student life such as a co-curricular and extracurricular activities. The social constructivism theory emphasizes that the learners construct knowledge through social interaction of others. As a learner work with others, they learn by co-constructing and reconstructing knowledge along with teacher and classmate. Some types of ePortfolio are school-centered, ePortfolio learner-centered, ePortfolio assessment, ePortfolio learning, ePortfolio and career ePortfolio. School-centered ePortfolio is administered by the school for summative assessment purposes, while learners-centered ePortfolio serve the formative purpose of assessment for learning. They help learners assess themselves in the process of teaching, learning. Assessment ePortfolio are meant to support assessment in institution, school outcome, and are therefore intended for the school as whole. Learning ePortfolio are meant for learners to help them examine and reflect on their own learning. Career transfer ePortfolio are meant to provide students with a tool for showcasing their achievement to employer to transfer institution. To ensure that ePortfolio are used most effectively, explain the benefit of the uses of ePortfolio to students. Establish clear expectation, provide numerous examples of showcasing their achievement to employer to transfer institution. To ensure that ePortfolio are used most effectively, explain the benefit of the uses of ePortfolio to students.
Chapter 8, Assessment in the Affective Domain. Learning in the affective domain has something to do with development of favorable attitudes and values, which are difficult to measure. Developing and assessing soft skills, non-technical skills, is in the affective domain of learning and assessing. The methods used to measure learning development in the affective domain are teacher's observation, student self-report, and peer rating. These methods employ tools such as checklists, rating scale, Likert scale, and systematic differential scale, sentence completions, and student reflections.
Chapter 9, which entitled Formative Assessment. Formative assessment is assessing learning in the process of instruction. This is to ensure that things not clear are clarified, things not understood are taught again until they are learned before summative assessment takes place. In short, formative assessment is done to ensure learning. Some appropriate techniques and tools for formative assessments are round-robin charts, questioning strategies, three-way summaries, think, pair, share, 3-2-1 countdown, 1-minute paper, exit, admit ticket, creative extension project. Scoring rubrics facilitate formative assessment in the sense that scoring rubrics give focus on questions to ask or things to perform or produce.
Let's now proceed to the chapter 10, which entitled Grading and Reporting. Grades have 4 purposes: the administrative, informational, motivational, and the guidance. For administrative purposes, grades help determine students' class rank, credits for graduation, whether or not a student gets promoted to the next grade. For informational purposes, grades can be used to communicate with parents, students, and others how well a student has realized learning and course outcomes. For motivational purposes, many students are more motivated to study in order to get high grades or to avoid low or failing grades. For guidance purposes, grades help students, parents, and counselors select appropriate courses for students and levels of work for students. A grading system has the following components: the standards of comparison, which compare grades against the set standards as found in the learning outcomes or compare performance with that of other students. The second component is the aspect of performance to be graded, whether written tests, products, or performance. The third component is the weights of the different products or performance. Students' progress must be reported to parents through report cards, written progress reports, and parent-teacher conference, which should be a regular feature of card-giving day.
Chapter 11, Reflecting Practice Using Assessment Data. After learning to assess a student's learning by way of authentic assessment methods and tools, this chapter is now focused on the assessment of our teaching practice as a future teacher. Reflective practice is beyond casual thinking, so it requires a conscious effort to think about events and develop insight from them. When we say reflective practice, means teachers exploring their own beliefs and assumptions about learners, teaching, learning, and assessment. For continuing improvement, teachers must develop the habit of reflective teaching assessment. The most reliable proof of effective teaching and assessment practice is students' learning manifested in the attainment of learning outcomes as expressed in the test, scores, and grades.
Students' reflection. What did we learn from the e-portfolio? We learn a lot of things, like how to organize them according to their respective places. And although it's not easy, we try our best to make them on time. Also, there should be unity and cooperation in order to accomplish our task. We develop a better sense of ourselves as students and as individuals. And it also displays our most significant learning experience. What did we do well? Making this portfolio, we assess ourselves on organizing or managing in accordance with a set of assessments. The final requirement for the e-portfolio is to collect all of the coursework and make it authentic and true to the reflections and connections between all of the courses and academic experience. We as a group combined our own insights and creativity to create an e-portfolio that was not the output itself, but true to how the course-related work impacted the students throughout the class. What do we want to improve in these items? This portfolio necessitates more extra effort and enthusiasm for the activity. There is a lot of need to improve because the biggest room in ourselves is for self-improvement. Also, for the purpose of inspiring and motivating students who are creating an e-portfolio, we wish to encourage creativity and teamwork in order to provide powerful reflections about work. How do we feel about our performance? We felt satisfied and fulfilled with how we made it in finishing this portfolio and surviving this course. What were the problem areas we met in this course? A lot of us encounter problems, but it depends on how we manage them. We encounter a lot of difficulties, especially in answering the following activities. It's hard, but we did our very best to answer it according to our own understanding. Lumaban hanggat kaya, magpahinga kung kinakailangan. Learning resources. Documentation. The first photo is our first meeting for the preparation and organizing the e-portfolio. The second photo is after our class schedule in major subject, we started to do the preliminary needed compilation on e-portfolio. The third, we do a brainstorming idea for the easy compilation of every chapter. And the fourth, we, the best at 3E Values Education Group, continue to fight and conquer. We are aspiring educators who love teaching and assessment. That would be all. Thank you.